Greetings, loves. Make sure you guys click the like button, share this video out, and subscribe if you already subscribed. And make sure you have your notifications on. Now, here we are again with some more true crime. We have a murder case here in Georgia that just started today, and it is a cold case. This is an interesting one because we have a woman whose name is Teresa Black. And she came from Charlotte, North Carolina with her son. You see him pictured here. And he was around 6 years old when she came here. Now, she had him when she was 15 years old and she had a rough life. Troubles taking care of the boy. And the prosecution states that the father was involved and he was helping out. But for whatever reason, she moved to Georgia. The defense says she came here so she could hopefully, find better work. She didn't know anybody here, but she had a couple of $100 in her pocket and, she was hoping to do better in her life for herself and her son. Now, when Teresa got here, they estimate that her son, whose name is William, has not been here very long. And I'm going to tell you why. Because they found his body over 23 years ago in a cemetery. There was a cemetery worker and he allegedly went to go and, go further out and relieve himself. And he found the little boy and they have his clothing. He was wearing some pants, sweater, and some Timberland boots. Now, the Timberland boots seem to be a hot topic. It's just weird. You have women saying, "Oh, I just bought my children some Timberland boots," and so they're connecting with the boots. We're not concerned about the boots. We're concerned about what possibly happened to this little boy. Maybe what was going on with this woman and why did she leave her son in the woods? So hopefully we're going to get some answers to that throughout this trial or by the end of the trial. And I'm going to, keep you guys posted on this situation. But this woman has an interesting story, y'all. She had a rough life. Now, she came from North Carolina, Charlotte, to Atlanta. She was a stripper. Okay. And this is according to the prosecution. I have not heard the defense confirm yet that she was a stripper, but I don't think that that's been, I'm pretty sure she probably was. Prosecution and defense, they giving these long drawn out, taking too long to get to it, opening statements. So I'm just like, okay, let's get it on. So allegedly, he passed away from having too much of a combination of Tylenol and Benadryl in his system. Okay. And it is alleged by the prosecution that she maybe purposefully did it. They're speaking that there may have been some blunt force trauma to the head. And she's also saying, because this is going to be interesting, because the prosecution is also saying that the defense is going to try and say that you couldn't tell about any blunt force trauma. So it sounds to me like the defense is saying that this was an accident. He started out by saying, listen, they were struggling. She didn't have much money. She didn't know anybody. She's trying to find work. He even said, they would ride the martyr for fun. Who rides the martyr for fun? But I guess if you come from Charlotte and you come to Atlanta, you're not used to trains and, city transportation like MARTA. Although they have the fast bus. No, that's Fayetteville. Okay. Y'all can tell I'm from Fayetteville, but it's a little different. So it seems a little maybe a New Yorkie in a way if you're from the country, but she's from Charlotte. So I don't know. I'm not sure how this is going to go. It's going to be tough. Now, this woman was convicted of manslaughter in her past, and I believe that was before she gave birth to him. But this was a situation where it wasn't officially deemed as self-defense. She didn't do much time. She did like probably less than a year. And again, she was very young, but it was something about a guy chasing her and her friend with some golf clubs. And, fortunately, her and her friend didn't get deceased. But, seems like she had to defend herself from the guy. So for whatever reason, she did get convicted of manslaughter. But hey, she didn't do much time. I find this interesting because what could make a person, for whatever reason this young man passed away, leave her son lying in the woods, and she moved to, I think, Arizona is where they found her, and she wasn't in good health, but they got her back here. This is Dekalb County here in Georgia, and now she is on trial. What could make her leave him and continue with her life for 23 years, knowing that the child that she gave birth to, that's where it ends for him. Like, he's back there. How do you go to sleep and wake up every single day and just continue to live your life like that? But, the defense is saying, this woman had a hard life. Her mother passed early. She was 15. She kind of had it rough. She was on her own. She had to figure it out. So I don't know. What are you guys thinking so far? Do you think maybe it was a struggle for her to figure things out and take care of her son along with discipline him, and she felt like that was the easy way out? Or was it an accident due to something he ingested, or maybe her not being able to figure it out and she panicked and was scared, especially since she had already been convicted of murder? Or do you think maybe she was like, I just need you to go to sleep? Because children don't really understand the situation, and oh gosh, mom's real stressed, let me be still and be quiet, especially a little boy, and just go to sleep and not be hungry and not need things. I mean, I don't know, but what we do know is this child laid out there until they found him. And I believe they found him very recently, because after his death, because they were able to determine what he had in his system. They just weren't able to identify him. Now, this is how they identified him 23 years later. So he would have been 26 years old right now. There was a woman back in Charlotte who was a neighbor. She lived like 3 blocks away, and she is now getting on the stand. This is going to be interesting. They kind of blurring her out because she doesn't want her last name, but I did see another clip with them showing her full face, but her name is Ann. Now, the story goes that Miss Ann was helping take care of William, and she was babysitting him. And she, according to the prosecution, states that, he wasn't being taken care of, and the mother really didn't care for him, and he was more like a burden. And she would just, care for herself. Again, she was 15 years old when she had him, plus a hard knock life. So, but she did say that she would try and come get him even when she wasn't babysitting, and, just try to, help him have a happy childhood. Now, the mother told her that she was moving to Georgia. And when she asked her, like, why are you moving to Georgia? You got support here, place for your son to sleep. And she's just like, I gotta, go try and find another life just to do better. And she said she had a problem with that because she had concerns about William. And when the mother, Teresa, came back to Charlotte, she didn't have her son with her. And it's like, where is he at? Because you don't know anybody in Atlanta. Hey, y'all, we know what she did was wrong, of course, but why you go back home without your son and think that was going to be slick? Because honestly, if she had not gone back home, there is a good chance that either she would not have been caught or it would have taken a lot longer. And quite possibly, let's say it took another 10, 20 years for them to find out who she was, she may have had a better chance at telling her story, or maybe she wouldn't be alive. I don't know. However, and good that he's getting justice. She went back home without her son. And so it is alleged, we'll find out through her testimony, that Ann said when she couldn't get a good answer as to where William was, she began to look for him every day, calling all around. So there was a news reporter who originally reported on the case when they found William's body in the cemetery, and she kept re-reporting the case, and she even went on, y'all remember America's Most Wanted? Looking for answers. That was a great show, and it's kind of sad that it's not still going, but Miss Ann eventually saw the picture of him, and of course she was familiar with him and looking for him. She called in. They even have her voice recording, and she said, I know who this child is. So eventually they located the mother, got the DNA test, and it is her son, and they brought her back to Georgia, where she is now standing trial. And as we speak, this woman, right after being sworn in, she is crying. So, good for her, that she had an attachment to this son. This young man, she cared about him, and she, tried to find him and was able to identify, because now all the people who had some kind of attachment to him, the people who found him, his father, because we're getting two sides of the story from that. So it's going to be interesting to see if the father is around. Is he going to show up in this? Because they are saying that he was the one, according to the prosecution, who enrolled the child in school in North Carolina, and it was his name listed as the contact. So again, this woman, for whatever reason, her son passed away, allegedly, from having too much of a combination of Tylenol and Benadryl in his system, and maybe some blunt force trauma to that, maybe. But it's not even under question that she left his body and lived for 23 years. 23 years as if he never existed. She woke up every day and went to sleep every day and lived with herself, knowing that her own son was out there. So, clearly she put herself before him, because if you're concerned that you may go to jail or they may not believe your story, especially after having been in jail, I get the fear of going to jail, but hey, how can you be sure that you have the courage? And I don't even want to call that courage, but how can you even be sure that you can go to sleep and wake up every single day knowing that you just left your child in the woods? That's wild. I mean, I don't know if she's going to take the stand, if defense is going to, try to say something as to why she never said anything. Maybe some years later, she couldn't take it. She wanted to say something, but she knew it would be worse because it was so far along. I don't know. But we will see, and I will keep you guys updated. And again, condolences to the family and all those who cared about this little boy, and, to the life that he never got to have. 6 years old, I'm pretty sure his mom was the apple of his eye. It's really, really sad, but, she got to pay the piper now. So we'll see how this is going to turn out. I don't think it's going to be good for her, though. Peace, y'all.